Hi everyone, my name is Lisa Hermosillo. I am currently at Minot Air Force Base, and for those who are unfamiliar with where that is, it is located in northern North Dakota. I have been here for a little over a year and a half, so not too long, but long enough to see some uh, situations and experience some things that I really feel I need to bring out into the open. Currently, right now, for those who have asked about where I am with getting into contacts with some of the military personnel here on base, I was in the process of getting like a meeting set up with, I believe, the Community Resilience Team ADAP program, just so they could kind of get a feel for where I would be. Useful or just an idea to kind of get together and allow me to bring up some of the concerns that I have and to also get feedback from the military side of things. So I'm hoping that that opportunity will still happen. I don't know, but I will kind of keep everyone updated on that as well. Some of my concerns are going to be pretty long, so I'm kind of breaking these videos up into different scenarios and stuff, so it's not all just one very long video. This one in particular involves a situation that happened here where an airman had posted or put a political flyer or poster in his window here on base housing. And so for those who are, again, I'm not going to assume that my audience is going to be familiar with military ways and customs and stuff like that. So particularly with base housing, we have a lot of limitations, a lot of rules and guidelines, just like any other leasing company would have. But military, kind of that understanding is that we are really held to a higher standard, which is great. I have total respect for that. I truly believe that Balfour Beatty has really good rules set in place. Just like other companies do, it's all about liability and safety of the residents and just overall making sure everything flows very well. So one of those rules, and in addition to that, one of the AFIs, it's a military regulation that airmen need to abide by, is that you're not allowed to display political posters or flyers in your window in base housing. So not only, like I said, it's a base housing rule, and then obviously the AFI will govern over base housing when it comes to that, because it is distinctly written verbatim in that AFI. So I was in a Facebook group, and this is months ago. We're talking about 6 months ago. And someone had brought to our attention that there was a particular house that had a Trump-Pence 2020 flyer poster in their window. And so, I chimed in, of course, and I said, have you talked to housing about it? Are you a neighbor that feels comfortable going next door, knocking on the door, and just say, hey, I don't know if you knew, but you're not allowed to have political stuff advertised in base housing, and then, hopefully it would take care of itself there. And they said, yes. I called housing, and I said, okay, well, that's a great start. That's exactly what I would recommend at this point. So then a couple months go by, and they say, hey, this poster is still up. And so I kind of started to do a little more digging, because for me, I have a lot of experience in real estate and property management. So I have a lot of knowledge of how contracts are written, what landlords are allowed to do, not allowed to do, stuff like that. So I like to advocate and help other residents and friends of mine when they get into certain situations that they need outside knowledge or just overall general help with. So I went to go drive by just to see it for myself, because I wanted to make sure I had all the information before I jumped in. Because I'm one of those people that once I jump in, I'm very passionate and driven, and I go through with it with all my effort. So I drove past, I saw it, And I was like, okay, yep, it's definitely there. And so I decided to call the housing office, and I said, hey, I don't know if you've been made aware of this, but there is a house that has a political sign in their window. And the receptionist said, you know what? Yes, don't worry about it. You are not the first person to call about this. We've had several people call in about it. And so let me put you on hold and let me go see kind of what the update is on this particular situation. So she put me on hold, came back and said, hey, talk to the manager. The manager is telling me that we are escalating this over to MHO. And MHO is going to be the government military side of housing. So they will get involved with conflict resolution, with any kind of problems that residents may have. So they said, we're going to escalate it to them. They should be taking it from here. We appreciate you calling and letting us know. And I said, before I hang up, would you like a picture of it just so you have it on record so that, I just kind of assumed that a lot of times, housing has and will ask for evidence, whether that's for noise complaints or for whatever it is. And she said, no, you know what, in this particular situation, this has been going on for several months. And so it's just at the point where he's just refusing to take it down. And I said, okay, well, in my mind, I'm thinking MHO's getting involved. We're good to go. That's exactly where it needs to go. So then we're talking, it's coming around December. And again, I see it again. And I'm thinking, well, this is weird because a different time that I had driven by for a curb alert thing, it was down. So I thought, oh, well, it was down this time, but then now it's back up again. What's going on with that? That's kind of odd. So I decided, and for other incidents that had happened in between, I had a lot of conversation and communication with the housing office as well as the regional manager. And so with a different scenario, I had brought up this one with the signage issue that still hadn't been taken care of. So I haven't heard back from the regional manager on that. So at this point, I'm kind of assuming that, like I said, I'm very outspoken. So we're not, on the best basis with each other, and that's okay. So I didn't hear back on that. And so I decided to post it in one of the groups for the Minot Air Force Base. So I posted it, and I had, my verbiage in there stating exactly what the scenario was. And immediately, I get people saying, why do you even care? What is your problem? So much for freedom of speech. And, if you have that big of a problem with it, go talk to housing about it. So thinking back, hindsight, I really wish I would have put in there, hey, this is not the first time that this has been brought up. This has actually been a continuous thing continuing to happen. And so I kind of wish that I would have put that in there too. And then I, of course, through my comments, I brought that up and said, hey, this is not the first time this has been brought up. And it was brought to my attention from a different resident. So I was just acting on behalf of them. And that's kind of seems to be, I guess I'm just one that's willing to go ahead and be vocal about it and bring it up. And then through that thread, one person had mentioned that she had gotten cited for doing the exact same thing, but hers was up for about a week. So again, that just kind of makes you think, okay, so this person got cited, they took theirs down, but then this other person gets cited, and here we are 6 months, potentially even longer than that, and it's still up. So honestly, overall, I am more upset at the lack of maybe leadership or people holding our airmen and people and families accountable for blatantly choosing to defy regulations and rules. I feel like there is this notion and this environment that people just think, I'm above the law, this doesn't apply to me, I can do what I want. And with a lot of these comments, it's the same thing. Like, no one can tell me what to do. I don't care. Screw your feelings. You're just offended that it was Trump related. And it's interesting to me because I have been extremely neutral in public about my political opinions. And it's not about who it was in the signage. It is about the fact that housing has not done anything about it, and that it's like they're picking and choosing who they're going to cite. And for some reason, this person was just kind of, being able to get away with it. I don't know. And which is why that person in the thread was asking, how did this person get away with it? And I got cited for it right off the bat, which is a good question. That's fair of her to ask. And so I was really bringing up the fact that it is not about who the signage had on it. I would be speaking up if it were a Biden sign, if it were anything political, because that is just what the rule is. And they're there for a reason, because let's face it, with the atmosphere from the 2016-2020 presidential election, it gets pretty nasty. And so, and that's kind of why this has been established as a rule across DoD facilities. I worked at the VA hospital, and they cracked down on that pretty quickly, pretty seriously. And so I don't think people truly understand why it is the way that it is, and it needs to stay that way. And I am extremely disappointed in some of the comments made by, our veterans, our active duty spouses. And I can handle the name calling and, them basically trying to run me down. I've seen it, I've heard it, I've dealt with it. This is not my first rodeo with this. And so I'm just more disappointed in the lack of anyone willing to have a discussion about it in a mature adult fashion. As a society, we have lost our ability to hold debates and to disagree with each other without getting vulgar and angry and mean and cruel to each other. It's just it's just mind blowing to me how far and shallow society has gotten with that, and it's really, really sad. And I am really hoping that our leadership, Senior Master Sergeant Bass and Secretary of Defense, anybody to speak up about this type of behavior. And this is not just happening online, although it is easier to do that on social media because most people think they can get away with it. They're not going to have anybody there to, cut down or, and say, hey, stop doing that. And it's really hard to flag people down on that. So I just, when are we going to get someone to step up and to say enough is enough? We cannot be acting like this. We cannot treat each other like this. And there absolutely needs to be a, this respect for the rules that we have in place. That's what the military is built on. If you can't accept the regulations for what they are, then maybe the military isn't right for you. But the other option you have is to do what I'm doing. If you want those regulations changed, make the effort, make the initiative, contact your leadership, contact your commanders, contact your higher enlisted or your officers, anybody that will listen to you. And that don't stop there. I have written senators, I have contacted news outlets, I have contacted legislators, and you name it. And I'm not going to give up. It is so sad to see the way that our military is going. And, I disagree with a lot of things that Bass has changed with our regulations. And, but I still respect her position. I respect her as a person. And I do think she has her intentions in the right place. I don't agree with some of the changes that she's made. But, again, that's for me to go ahead and speak out where I feel I need to. But I don't know if anyone else agrees with me or sees it, but I mean, the culture is so toxic, and I don't know what is going to be enough to step in and make the change. It's just really sad to see. And, I was hoping that with my post that it would bring some awareness to it. I even mentioned, if this is something you guys want changed, like, put in a petition or talk to housing about it, or the DOD, because technically it's the DOD governs the base housing rule. But and I don't sink into cussing people out and running them down, and and it's easy to slip into that. It definitely is. But, it's really aggravating, and it's super frustrating to see, and I wonder, where is this type of mentality coming from? Is it being promoted in the workplace? Is it just people's personalities? Is it, how they were raised? Is it what are we teaching our airmen, about what it means to really immerse yourself into what the airman, mission and the, being in the military really is. And I've just heard a lot of different feedback on this, between there being a lot of mishaps and things that need to get changed, even at basic training with our recruiters. And definitely once they get to their first base, I don't know, it's just really, really sad to see the way that, airmen are even treating each other online for disagreeing. And, why is it praised to, be defiant and to not respect order and discipline? And, at the Christmas party, I'm sorry, not the Christmas party, the Air Force ball, we had a retired, I think he was a retired colonel. I don't remember. Don't hold that against me. But the speaker, his main talk was about discipline, about holding each other accountable, and that leadership needs to step up and take on the responsibility and to do what is right. And I really wonder, even years from now, how the military is going to be. And I really hope there's going to be some major changes within our leadership. First shirts or first sergeants and your officers, listen to your airmen, even if it's something that you don't agree with, let's acknowledge that we all have differences. We are going to, we're humans. But if you aren't going to take responsibility for how you feel about something, it is not fair for you to turn around and completely degrade somebody or bully somebody online. That doesn't get anyone anywhere. And if anything, that is more of a reflection on a person, their character and who they are as a person. And if you could see some of the messages that I received, they are absolutely horrendous. And there is some very, very obvious proof that there is no respect for leadership. There's no respect for the rules. And I just really want to understand, why is it the way that it is? What is causing this type of mentality, and what are people doing about it? I'm not going to stop trying to reach out and to find where I can make changes. And For people who said hurtful things to me, I forgive you. I understand, things are very, very, um, um, what's the word? Sorry. Things are they're hard right now. There's a lot of tension, okay? But please, please don't give into that type of, that's not what we want to represent as a military community. I don't want, I don't like seeing that either way. It's so hurtful. It doesn't, it's not building that community that we talk about with our Air Force family. And I really hope that, if you guys still want to have a conversation with me about it, like, please, I encourage you to reach out to me and talk to me about it. I don't mind you wanting to talk to me about it, but I want it to be in a respectful way. And, I've even asked how I can help other people too. There's nothing that I'm doing that is specifically targeted to benefit me as a person. There's no agenda that I'm trying to push that isn't backed or part of what the Air Force mission is. And I really thought I'd get a little more support in that. It just seems to be the cool thing to, when someone talks about regulations not being followed, that to blast them and to make fun of them. And I just want to understand why that is. I guess, I don't know, maybe I was raised differently. I was, I don't know, but I've never thought, wow, I'm an airman, I'm just going to defy this and I'm going to defy that, and no one's going to tell me any different. And I just can't I just can't wrap my head around it. I'm very disappointed. And I really hope that there are some changes that will happen eventually from this. So that's all I have. Again, if anyone has any questions, please reach out to me. And again, to everyone that does serve, thank you for your service. And for you military spouses, I want to give you a shout out as well, because I know how hard it is. And, you guys deserve a lot of recognition as well. So I will talk to you guys later. Thank you. Bye.